What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM. Today we've got our NFL player projections for week number 7. I am your host, Chris Raybon of the Action Network. And on today's show, we're going to run through our top 5 fantasy projected players at each skill position. We'll discuss players we're especially high and low on this week in the market, fantasy, DFS, props, all that. And we'll throw out a player prop for each position here to break it down with me, one of the most accurate fantasy football rankers and projectors in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, how you doing? I heard you're taking a lot of walks from the bed to the living room and back.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I probably rushed my return last week. I had a pretty bad week, lost like 5 units. Still up 15 units on the air, so it was due for a slight correction, but sheesh. I managed to somehow hit my 49ers future, even though they technically lost before the Eagles. Since both teams lost, it was a dead heat.
Oh, nice.
So you
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, you win like half your bet, and then you lose half your bet. So it ended up cashing out 6-1, which helped wipe out an awful week. But physically starting to feel a little better. So hopefully, week 7 can be better for me in more ways than one. But how are you doing?
I'm doing glad to hear you're doing a little better. I had a pretty great week, so I guess I held it down for both of us. My only loss I went 5-1, I think it was.
Nice.
No, 5 or 6-1. But my only loss was Patriots +3 by 1 point on the Mac Jones safety, and I knew I was like 1917. This feels too good to be true. And then I was like, I wish the Raiders would just get this first down and end the game, because I didn't have money line, so I didn't really care if the Patriots won or lost. And the minute they had a kickback to the Patriots deep in their own territory, I'm like, oh no, Mac Jones does not have the awareness. And sure enough, Max Crosby just ended my shit, man.
Was that your first bad beat in like 2? I feel like your last bad beat was like the Gabe Davis, like the Bills Chiefs.
Oh my god,
AFC game 2 years ago. Well, welcome to NFL betting. The rest of us in the entire world have dealt with this shit the past 2 years. So how does it feel to have your first bad beat in like years?
Yeah, it's not my first bad beat in years, but it's been a crazy run. Like I'm above 70% again on the year, so fingers crossed. Let's keep it going. But definitely had one earlier this year. I had under 39.5 Jets Cowboys, and it landed on 40. So it didn't feel like a bad beat, but anytime you have a half point, you're gonna be a little. Well,
Mac Jones taking the safety there.
Yeah, that's a brutal beat. That's a beat. Yeah, yeah. That's like that. What is that? That was the Houston college game. Was it Sam Houston or Houston? Like when there was like a score at 12 seconds left, and then another score. A Hail Mary. You didn't see that game this weekend? Oh man!
Oh no, I missed all the college football games, but
yeah, there was some wild games, but we digress. Let's jump in to our top 5s. Start with quarterback. Who you got?
I got Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert.
Where's Tua?
Oh, he's right there. Yeah,
damn, no Tua love.
The top 5 is pretty legit. If anything, he's number 5. I haven't really updated Herbert's passing projections.
That makes sense.
And after the past couple of games, I can't imagine I bump it up. So yeah, I would say Tua in theory would be my QB 5. But you can't go wrong with any of these top 5 this week.
So your spreadsheet, when you import your data, are you still manually updating, looking at let's say Herbert's passing stats manually, or does it just kind of update once you import?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have 2 separate sheets. I have my raw projection sheet where Herbert's going to be a little bit lower, and then I filter that into my working sheet, which is more of a manual entry.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking at my updated projections in my main sheet. But my, manual, I know you have something like that. I know you do. I've seen it. It is, there's a lot of things going on. I haven't really translated all that over, but that's where Herbert's projection will be much lower.
Because I have, for me, I kind of do it the same. I have a manual override column for every column, but it updates automatic. So if I don't change anything, just by importing, it'll update. Right. But I think the big thing for me with Herbert is just that Kansas City defense. I actually have them as one of the best pass defenses for opponent like efficiency. So that's probably why Herbert's like 6 for me. But I have in the top 5 Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, 2 of 4, and then Lamar Jackson number 5.
Makes sense. Yeah, if you have Tua, by all means, play him this week. Fire him up.
Like every week for the rest of his life. All right, who are you high on?
I'm high on Jordan Love. He's actually inside my top 10 to begin the week. Probably because there's a lot of teams on bye. There's 6 teams on bye this week. And he is coming off, back-to-back rough games where he's throwing multiple interceptions in both games. But I think the bye week should help. Hopefully it allows, Aaron Jones enough time to fully recover from his hamstring injury. I think his return will give the entire offense and Jordan Love a boost. Christian Watson has looked great. I think with the bye week, he's going to be even closer to 100%. I think he's primed for just a massive game. So that's going to help Jordan Love. And it's just an easy matchup this week against the Broncos. They've allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to quarterbacks this year. So I think this is a good week to use Love as like a potential streaming option. So he's my QB 10 to open the week.
Yeah, he's my QB 8. So yeah, I'm high on Love as well. It's really that Denver defense, and Love's he's got the arm talent. I feel like what's messing him up is mechanics sometimes. Like he doesn't have his like feet set in the direction he always throws because he could just kind of sling it, and then he ends up being a little bit imprecise on some of those downfield throws. But he's got all the talent, and this is a bad defense. So this is one of those games you expect Love to put up some good numbers. I'm high on Baker Mayfield versus the Atlanta Falcons. They're a pass funnel this year. They're number 9 in DVOA against the run, 29th against the pass. So I have Mayfield inside my top 15. He's borderline streamer. He's QB 18 in expert consensus. But remember, he faced the Lions, top 5 pass defense per DVOA. That's kind of going under the radar. They've really improved a lot. That's why a lot of people were loving the Bucs as a home dog last week. I was like, nope, taking the Lions. Like this is a comeback down to earth spot for the Bucs. Predictable. And then he faced the Saints the week before that. They're number 7, and he faced the Eagles, who their numbers aren't great, but we know how much talent the Eagles have on defense. So 3 really tough matchups in a row for Mayfield. Now this is more of a matchup where I think he can have some success throwing to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Kate Otten, and those guys. So Mayfield this week. I know he has the injury, but I'm assuming he's going to play. It looks like he's going to play through it. As long as he plays, I like him as a top 15 option on what's a pretty ugly slate with all these other more injured quarterbacks.
Oh man, yeah. There's 6 teams on bye, and we might have Tyson Bagent, CJ Beathard, Brian Hoyer, PJ Walker starting this week. So yeah, Baker Mayfield's in my top 15 as well.
Who you low on?
I'm low on Kirk Cousins again this week. Even with all the bye weeks and all these crappy quarterbacks starting, he's still like QB 20 for me. Last week he finished QB 24 against the Bears. The Vikings just, they didn't have to throw much, but even when the game was close on early downs, their pass rate ranked 15th in the league. When they've typically been, a top 10 team in terms of pass rate with Justin Jefferson. So I think they're clearly going to be more of a run-heavy team without Jefferson. And this is just a brutal matchup. They're facing the Niners, which could, result in Cousins attempting more passes, but he's not going to be as efficient, especially without Justin Jefferson. So he could struggle again here. So right now, I'm viewing him more as a low-end QB2, which is a shame because earlier in the season, he was like a slam dunk, mid-range QB1 option. But right now, we just have to lower expectations until JJ comes back.
Yeah, it's just completely not the same. I mean, JJ was getting like 100 yards a game. Like it's a total. Like Addison is a good player, but just not a true number 1, at least not yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Neither is KJ Osborne. I am low on Desmond Ridder. He's another one of these guys who, despite all of the injuries, that he's still outside my top 20. He's the QB 19 in ECR. Tampa Bay has the 11th best pass defense according to DVOA, and Ridder, we know he just lost his first home game since elementary school, I guess. But now he's going on the road to Tampa Bay, and he historically has struggled on the road. His completion percentage drops from 67% to 59%. His yards per attempt from 7.3 to 5.5. his passing yards per game from 230 at home to 177 on the road. His passing touchdowns from 1.2 at home to just 0.25, a quarter of a touchdown. One passing score in 4 road games in his career, a 70 passer rating on the road compared to 92 at home. So tough matchup for Ritter. He's coming off 2, more volume heavy, bigger games where he played pretty solidly at times. I didn't like how he was playing against Washington, especially down the stretch. I just thought he forced some throw. That pick in the end zone was horrible. But yeah, this is like a comeback down to earth spot for Desmond Ritter, big time against this Bucs defense. So going low on Ritter here.
What do you have his passing yards projected for? This isn't my prop. I'm not bamboozling you right now. But he's coming off back-to-back, 300-plus yard games. Like, how much regression do you see this week? Are you low 200s?
Yeah, I'm about 224. So it's not terrible, but
yeah,
it's really the touchdowns and higher chance of just bad negative plays on the road and Bucs D's. So yeah, it's just not a great projection. But yeah, passing yards, he's getting up there. It's like they're not afraid. They don't seem as afraid to throw anymore with him, but they probably should be. So
right.
what are we doing for the prop?
Oh man, so I was gonna go Tua's passing yards, but that's boring. Let's go the bottom of the barrel here. Who will have more passing yards this week, Mac Jones or Tyson Bagent?
Oh my God!
And so Mac Jones is facing the Bills, and Bagent is facing the Raiders.
Whew. Gotta go Mac Jones still. I mean, he's both of them. The thing about both of them I think are at risk of benching. The Bears will probably sign a veteran like Peterman, or if he might be back. I don't know. They release him every week. But Bagent just didn't look good. Mac Jones hasn't looked good, but yeah, I'll still go Jones on the off. We've seen Jones put up a couple big yardage games when his team has gotten down. So. That's tough, but I still have more confidence in Jones than Bagent. Bagent had a great preseason, but I think we've learned that these preseason guys, but are reminded that these preseason performances mean nothing. So yeah, I'll still go Mac Jones.
Are we gonna see? Sorry, what's that?
No, I was gonna ask was Mac Jones the favorite? Because we need a tiebreaker. Like, is Mac Jones?
Oh, I mean, they're not gonna tie, but Mac Jones -0.5. Are we going to see Malik Cunningham break out this week as a quarterback?
I don't know. He had a couple snaps, and then they had I guess Zappi was the third quarterback. So yeah, I mean,
who is I don't think he has wide receiver eligibility yet in fantasy leagues, but he's been playing wide receiver. He could get that, and then we could see him start. Who was that guy for the? I think it was the Vikings. It was Webb. He started.
Was it not Jamarcus Webb? What's this guy's name?
Yeah, what was
Joe
his
Webb?
name?
Joe Webb.
Joe Webb. Yeah, he started at quarterback for the Vikings 1 week, and he had wide receiver eligibility. There's a non-zero chance that happens at some point with Malik Cunningham this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because apparently he hasn't really practiced at quarterback all year. So Patriots are just, I don't know what they're doing on offense, man.
Right.
I wouldn't even try to figure it out. All right, but you know what everyone does love, Sean, and that's compliments. And compliments are guaranteed after making the leap to skincare with Caldera Lab. And I'm talking about how you look today and 20 years from now. The results are incredible in little time. Men's skincare and Caldera Lab are the perfect pair for you to look and feel your best. Super easy to add to your morning and nightly routine. Clear skin, less wrinkles, and signs of aging. Enough said. Caldera Lab Skincare. Join the other 100,000 men who trust Caldera Lab to show your best first impression this fall. Caldera Lab knows the skincare world is heavily female driven and has long been the Wild West for us guys, but that's why they're making the solution simple with just 3 steps. 1, you got the Clean Slate, which is a face wash to start and end your day. Number 2, you got the base layer, which is a daily moisturizer to hydrate your skin. And 3, the Good, which is an eye serum you can put on at night to help your skin look tighter and smoother. And just for our audience, we have an exclusive deal. Use code TAN at calderalab.com and get 20% off right now. That's 20% off with code TAN at calderalab.com. Make unforgettable first impressions with Caldera Lab. Sean, who you got as your top 5 running backs for week number 7?
Oh, man, this is a wild week at running back. I haven't seen your top 5 yet, but I can't wait to hear it. Mine is Kenneth Walker, number 1. Then I have Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, and Bijan Robinson.
I still got Eckler number 1. I think I'll throw him back in there. But yeah, Walker number 2, ETN 3rd, Jacobs 4th, and Raheem Mostert number 5.
Nice. Yeah, how are you handling Christian McCaffrey right now? Just assuming he's out.
Yeah. So I don't have him at full strength. But it sounded like he was gonna miss at least. I mean, he's pushing to play, but I heard a 2 to 4 week timeline quoted, so I'm assuming he probably misses at least 1 week, and we'll see next week. But as of now, I have McCaffrey out, and who are you hiring?
I guess Zach Evans. I can't believe I'm doing this to myself, but I'm trying to figure out how Sean McVay is going to handle the running backs. But Kyron's out this week. It looks like Ronnie Rivers looks like he's going to miss a handful of games, so that should mean Zach Evans and Royce Freeman will handle the workload this week. Evans has been the RB3. He is the 6th round rookie. He probably has the most upside of the 2 backs. But McVay has been unpredictable, so he could opt to go with the veteran and Royce Freeman here. My guess is, Evans will probably handle most of the early down work, with Freeman, handling more of the passing down work. And just considering, the Rams, they're 3-point favorites. Stafford doesn't throw to, his running backs much. I think Evans will have the more fancy-friendly role. So just on a week where there's so many injuries, so many teams on bye, I think Evans is an RB3 flex option for, desperate managers. He does have a ton of upside. He's not quite polished as a rookie yet. He does have a ton of upside. He just really hasn't hit it yet at the college level or in preseason, but he should, see the touches this week. So I'm ranking Evans as like an RB3 flex option.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has been below average against the run. They're 19th in DVOA, so decent matchup as well for Evans. I'm high on Javonte Williams going against the Packers. He's the RB20 in ECR. I think he should be inside the top 20. He's had a long rest after playing Thursday. Samaje Perine is questionable, so Williams could get more passing down work. I feel like him and Julio McLaughlin will probably split most of the early down work. But Williams due for some touchdown regression. He's gotten 154 straight touches without a touchdown dating back to 2021. And you have this Green Bay run defense that has long been the weakness of the team. They are 26th in DVOA against the run. So I think this is a good time for Williams, and Broncos are playing at home. They are underdogs, but could easily win this game. So like Javonte here against the Packers.
Yeah, I think even if P. Ryan is healthy enough to play, I think they were kind of phasing him out last week. So this is more of a two-way committee. And P. Ryan had a late, fumble late in the game. So this should be more of a two-way committee. McLaughlin's look great, but this is still Javonte's backfield.
Who you low on?
I'm low on Brian Robinson Jr. He only ran the ball 10 times for 31 yards. Managed to salvage, pretty solid fantasy day considering he caught a touchdown. We can't really bank on receiving touchdowns from him most weeks. So, he's going to be pretty dicey going forward. If, Chris Rodriguez continues to eat into his early down work. Rodriguez played a season high in snaps, ran the ball 4 times. That was one of the things that we pointed out heading into the season as a potential downside for Robinson is if Rodriguez sees an increase in work because Antonio Gibson's already handling most of the passing down work, so B-Rob can't afford to be sharing early down work. And, the Commanders have just been very pass-heavy under new offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Yep. So there aren't that many carries to go around, so it's just a bad situation for B-Rob. He had a great start to the season, but he's cooled off, and now with Rodriguez seeing more work, I'm pretty low on B-Rob. And, yeah, he's probably, more of a I would say high-end RB3 flex because so many teams are on a bye, but long-term, this is certainly a concern.
Oh wow, you're dropping him over. I still have him as an RB2. I mean, he's expert consensus has him as pretty much an RB1.
Oh Jesus! I'm looking right now. I have him a
13th.
Low.
Yeah,
I have him like more of a low-end RB2.
Yeah, I'd still put him in mid-range. I mean, against the Giants, he might pop up. I have to go rewatch the film. I don't know what did he get hurt? Is that why Rodriguez got more work, or is it just Rodriguez just
no?
Oh, Jesus.
No, and they had a decent lead, but towards the end of the game, it was just a one-score game.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
It wasn't like
so many chances.
Yeah, it wasn't like garbage time or anything like that. And Rodriguez looked more efficient. So, in the limited work, Rodriguez looked good. So, it's just a potential concern for B-Rob.
All right. I'm low on Rachaad White against the Atlanta Falcons. He is the RB19 in ECR, and he's a guy I think should be outside the top 20. Just averaging 46 yards a game, rushing 1 touchdown on the year. Atlanta is a top 10 defense in DVOA against the run. And the big thing here is Atlanta has been good covering running backs out of the backfield, giving up the fifth fewest schedule adjusted targets per game, just over 4, and the third fewest adjusted receiving yards per game, just over 18 to the running back position. And White has gotten 39% of his 40% of his half PPR points and 48% of his PPR points from receiving. So facing a team that defends running backs well out of the backfield, he can't really afford to lose any production in the receiving game because he's averaging under 50 yards rushing. Keyshawn Vaughn's starting to get more and more work. So don't think this is a great spot for Rachaad White. He's more of a fringe RB2 this week for me.
Yeah, they really haven't had anybody to really push his early down work. Everyone's been awful. Sean Tucker flopped, and this week it was Keyshawn Vaughn's turn. He ran the ball 6 times for 9 yards. I wonder if they give Leonard Fournette a call, who seems ready to play right now, but who knows?
All right, for the prop, we're gonna go. Let's go half PPR points. Najee Harris minus a 1/10 of a point versus Jaylen Warren.
Oh, a 1/10 of a point? So
yeah.
Okay. Oh,
so
man.
Essentially, which one is this for?
Yeah.
Because ECR actually has Warren higher. I have Najee a little higher, but so curious to where you are.
I can't believe I'm in a situation where I'm picking Najee Harris over Jaylen Warren, but I think I have to do that. I do have Najee just a bit higher. Although, it could be a trailing game script and Warren could get a couple catches here, but coming out of the bye, I think that they'll lean on the run game and Harris early. I'll go Harris here, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, I thought this is a pretty interesting one. Like I'm with you. I have Harris a little higher, but ECR has Warren 24, Harris 27. So
I like where their head's at.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just they've never really shown, like they never really given Warren more than like 40% of the carries. That's the thing. Like he does get the receiving work, but he just really hasn't eaten in as much as we'd like to the carries. So that's kind of the holdup, I think, with him.
Yeah, and like I'm still of the stance that people that drafted Najee in round 2 should not be happy about that, and people that drafted Warren in like round 10 or whatever, like me, should be happy about it. But I'm not ranking him ahead of Harris yet. I think there's still maybe a few weeks for that to happen. But yeah, right now I still think Harris has the higher floor anyway.
Yeah, just based on the carries, I think.
Yeah.
Because game script could kind of be a little odd, but Warren's only had one game with more than double-digit half PPR points anyway. So it's kind of been ugly all the way around for this Pittsburgh offense. Let's go to receiver. Who you got in your top 5?
So I have Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown.
Yep, same, except I got Hill, Kupp, Allen 3rd, Diggs 4th. Just because, Patriots, you never always bump him down a tiny bit. I think he'll be fine. But Keenan Allen's just been dog-walking people, as usual.
Can't go wrong with Diggs or Allen right now.
Remember when people thought Quentin Johnston, when it was going to cut into like that whole thing, like that Keenan Allen's just getting more targets now.
Cut into Keenan Allen's targets?
By because like they had 4 guys. You know, they had Palmer at one point, Mike Williams out, but now it's just like Williams out. It's just more targets to Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
So, but I know you are high on one of these Charger receivers. So talk to me.
Yeah, I'm high on Josh Palmer. Looks like he's really taken over the Mike Williams role just as being Herbert's number 2 target. You know, he ran route on all of Herbert's dropbacks last night. And, you know, Quentin Johnston's out there running wind sprints. I thought he would see a little bit more work last night, but he's just not there yet. Like, he is just not, a polished. Well, of all the rookie first-round picks, I think we could all say he was the more raw prospect. Yeah. He was not ready for this. Like, the only reason he's seeing an uptick in playing time is because Mike Williams is hurt. If Mike Williams is healthy, he would not be seeing over a 20% routes run rate. So he's just not there yet. Palmer is clearly the guy. Looked great last night. He's always looked good when he's had to step up. And, you know, Austin Eckler is rotating out quite a bit, especially on, like, third down plays. You know, maybe they're easing him back.
Yeah.
That trend could continue.
Sure.
But it was Josh Kelly running a route 25% of the time, and, you know, he's not really seeing targets. So if that continues, that'll only help, you know, Palmer and Allen. This should be a pass-heavy game script against the Chiefs. I do agree with you. The Chiefs' pass defense is much, much better this year, so they won't be as efficient. But Herbert's only thrown for 167 and 227 yards the past 2 games, so have to just figure that'll go up at least. So the added volume should only help Palmer, and I see him as more of a, you know, wide receiver 2 option this week.
Yeah, he's 35th in ECR right now, so.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Probably not updating based on last night quite yet. Or do they have Quentin Johnston still in the top 70?
I've got to scroll. Hold on. 56. Yeah, too high.
Oh, okay.
Who else you hiring?
Oh, yeah. So I'm also high on Jacoby Myers. Just, you know, back-to-back games with 5+ catches and a touchdown. So he's starting to heat up. You know, unsure who the quarterback will be this week. But with Myers, I don't think it'll matter. You know, he'll still see a good number of targets. You know, Devontae Adams' targets have taken a hit the past couple weeks. That's obviously not going to last. So he should bounce back. But I noticed that they use Trey Tucker as the wide receiver 3 over Hunter Renfrow. I think that means, you know, Renfrow could be traded very soon. But Tucker's only been targeted on 8% of his routes this year with an 8 out of 15.5. So he's just out there running wind sprints. So if he takes over as the wide receiver 3, it's only going to result in more targets for Adams and Myers. So Myers has an easy matchup against the Bears this week. So, you know, I like him as like a high-end wide receiver 3 this week.
All right. I'm high on...
Or a mid-range wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the bye weeks.
I was about to say, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm high on Wan'Dale Robinson this week. Another guy who I don't think he's too quarterback dependent. Had a pretty good game again with Tyrod, but he's going up against Washington. He is just outside the top 40 in ECR. I have him inside the top 40 of wide receiver 38, so fringe wide receiver 3 in deeper leagues. He ran a season high 73% of the routes last against Buffalo, and 4+ catches every game for Wan'Dale, averaging 5.5 catches per game. Pretty low ADOT guy, so the yardage only 35 yards, but I think that should go. You know, that should go up. Eventually, he'll break a tackle or two and get some big plays. And Washington is 27th in pass defense DVOA, so pretty easy matchup for Wan'Dale. So I think everything kind of works out for him. And a similar kind of guy I also like this week, Tutu Atwell against the Steelers. Since Cooper Kupp came back, he's still averaging an 89% route participation rate. But Pittsburgh is one of the more man-heavy defenses in the league, and Atwell leads the Rams in targets and receiving yards against man coverage. So this could be a week where Atwell pops, after a couple of quiet. I know he had a touchdown, but quieter weeks since Cooper Kupp has been back.
Breaking news: did you see the Eagles have landed Julio Jones?
No.
Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like for what?
Like, I don't know.
He's just along for the ride. Yeah, that's odd. I know Quez went on IR, so I guess I get it, but
yeah, no impact really, right?
I mean, he might be the wide receiver 3 because I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming
better blocker than Olamide Zaccheaus. So I remember thinking at some point when watching the Eagles the last couple weeks, just like too much Zacchaeus. Like, I don't know
Right.
what all Zacchaeus is going on here, but I guess they feel the same way. So that's interesting. But who are you low on at wide receiver this week?
I'm low on Calvin Ridley. Coming off a 4-catch, 30-yard game. He's been hit or miss the last few weeks, and he would certainly take a hit if Lawrence is ruled out for Thursday Night Football and C.J. Beathard starts. I don't think we know yet if Lawrence is going to play or not, so that's something to monitor. But he would still be, cusp wide receiver 2-3 option just since so many teams are on a bye this week, but would certainly have to lower expectations. And then another guy I'm fairly low on is Drake London. He's coming off just a huge 9-catch, 125-yard game. He's seen a 24% target rate over the last 3 games. There's no question the talent's there. I love him as a talent, but like I mentioned earlier, Ritter's thrown back-to-back 300-plus yard passing games. That probably isn't sustainable. So I have him, more as a wide receiver 3 option, whereas Fantasy Pros has him wide receiver 2. So a little bit lower on London this week.
Yeah, I mean, and also Ritter on the road, it tends to struggle. That kind of pulls down everybody involved in that passing game. I am low on Jameson Williams, and I do think he played really well. I liked what I saw out of him against the Buccaneers. Helped us with that cover. Got a beautiful adjustment on a deep ball. But watching him play, there's a couple of things that really concern me. So I have him still outside the top 60. Fantasy Pros has him right around the fringe top 50 guy. But even though he's kind of ramping up, I don't know if he's really ramping up, because 2 weeks ago with Amon-Ra, not there, 53% route participation rate. Last week, 19%. So, he's making the most of his routes, but it's kind of like Kadarius Toney. Like, eventually, he's going to have just a bunch of terrible games because he's not on the field consistently. So, Marvin Jones still played over him. Khalif Raymond still played over him. Josh Reynolds. And Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, and this is something we kind of talked about. Like, is he going to be any better than the third or fourth receiver? And so far, the answer has been no. So now you're facing Baltimore, who's the top 3 pass defense in DVOA. But most importantly, number 1 in DVOA on deep passes is the Baltimore defense. And that's where I think it's tough for Williams, because a lot of times he's running these clear out routes down the field, and it's working. He's opening up the middle and underneath for Laporta, for Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys like that. But in a game like this, I just don't know if he's going to see the snaps or the targets or the efficiency against the Ravens. So, low on Jameson.
Yeah, it's like the full-on Jameson experience. Finishes, the wide receiver 24 on a 19% routes run rate.
Right.
So
yeah,
don't get fooled in playing this week in
unsustainable
normal leagues.
What do you got for prop?
Let's go with Jahan Dotson's receiving yards. Coming off a goose egg, I thought he would bounce back this week or sometime soon. Just curious where you're projecting him and where your thoughts are if he's going to show up anytime soon. But I'm going to set his line at... I'll go with 35.5 receiving yards. Against the Giants.
That's a good line. 35.5. I'll take the over. I have it 38, so right there. But 3 catches for 36. I think that's doable for him. And I think one of the Giant corners got hurt. Who was it? One of the corners got hurt in the last game. It was either Banks or somebody left the game. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, Dory. So that he Giants do play a lot of man. Last year he was very good against man. This year not so much, but you got to think after a goose egg, it's just going to be a little bit more of a squeaky wheel situation. So yeah, I'm gonna go over, but that's a good line. I have it right at 38. More memories are made when you're there for live NFL action. And when you need tickets, our friends at Ticketmaster have got you covered. As the official marketplace of the NFL, Ticketmaster gives you more ways to find your perfect seat. Their interactive seat map gives you 360-degree previews of your section to make sure that you have the best view of all of those pivotal plays. And if your plans change, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell or transfer your tickets. Plus, mobile tickets make getting in on game day a breeze, and you can even customize your Ticketmaster app to rep your favorite team's colors. Find tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/NFL. All right, let's close it out with tight end. Who you got in your top five?
I got Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller, and Dallas Goedert.
I got Kelce, Andrews, Sam Laporta, George Kittle, and TJ Hawkinson.
Nice. Yeah, it killed me that Laporta was in my top five. I'm gonna have to change that.
Who you high on?
I'm high on Logan Thomas. More of just let's keep him as a low-end tight end one this week after coming off a one-catch, 2-yard dud. I think if we benched and moved on from any fringe tight end one because they had a bad game, there wouldn't be any tight ends left. So it was just a weird game where the Commanders, they had a 2-score lead for most of the game, but were also dominated in time of possession. They only had the ball for 23 minutes. So Logan Thomas didn't really have a chance. They weren't really throwing the ball much. So, he still has solid underlying usage. I mentioned the Commanders are a very pass-heavy team. Eric Bieniemy's coming from the Chiefs, so Logan Thomas is technically playing, the Travis Kelce role. So I think he's going to bounce back this week. Still treating him as a low-end tight end one option with so many teams on a bye this week.
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, guys who you think are going to produce are just like one catch, no catches.
Yep.
But Travis Kelce still floating along. Almost, he was on pace to break the all-time receiving record for single game for tight ends at the half last week. He cooled off in the second half, but he had I think he had a $109, and the record is 214. So he was on pace for 218 at the half. And
who has the record? Like David Njoku? I'm trying to guess. Like it's gonna be something like that, right?
David Njoku. I think it's Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it
against the Chiefs. So it would have been a Chiefs against a Bronco to break it last week if Kelce had done it, but he cool.
Right. I think Njoku had like a massive game against the Chargers. I was just thinking about that. Like, 149, not even close.
Yeah.
Not even
I would have
close.
guessed like Antonio Gates maybe or somebody.
Yeah.
Or Gronk, obviously. I am high on Pat Freiermuth. Looks like he's going to return this week. He's the tight end 27 in ECR. I have him as a top 12 tight end. The Rams are bottom 5 in DVOA against tight end, so this is just kind of a matchup play. But, Freiermuth's been banged up almost every game, in and out. But he said he could have played if the Steelers had a game in week 6 on the bye. So coming out, I think he should be healthy. I think he should be back to a normal snap rate. And I know Deontay may come back this week, but either way, just a great matchup for Freiermuth. As much as you can have a great matchup with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback and Matt Canada as your offensive coordinator. But as we said, this tight end, the low-end tight end 1 tier is just ugly. So you're just kind of playing a matchup, playing talent here. And I think Freiermuth is way too low outside the top 20. Who are you low on?
Yeah, so Zach Ertz is one of those guys that, we've had as a low-end tight end one the past few weeks, but I have to remove him from that range after last week because we saw the Cardinals just really treat this more as a 50-50 split. Both Ertz and McBride essentially ran a route on 50% of Josh Dobbs' dropbacks. McBride had the much better game, catching 4 balls for 62 yards. We've seen McBride's usage go up from a couple weeks, and then Ertz just went right back to dominating snaps. But this seems a little bit different, or at least it's unclear on how it's going to shake out next week. But either way, we can't trust Ertz right now as a streaming option, even with the 6 teams on a bye. This could be a situation where McBride is breaking out, or it reverts back to what we've seen where Ertz is running a 70-80% routes run rate. But either way, this is one of those situations where I think it is okay to move on and find somebody else until we get more clarity. But I'm low on Ertz this week. He's more of a a mid-range tight end 2, low-end tight end 2 this week for me.
Yeah, it's been tough there's really been no rhyme or reason with the usage for Ertz. So, I can't call it. I'm low on Kyle Pitts this week. He's my tight end 11. He's tight end 9 in ECR. And that's just because even though he's been productive over these last 2 weeks, his route participation rate has been going down. And that's always what you don't want to see, especially at this position where routes are just so important. And, he's been running a route just under 65% of the time in the last 2 games. And usually he's around 80% plus. So that's kind of a little bit worrisome, especially with Desmond Ridder likely to come back down to earth passing yardage wise on the road. Also, Tampa Bay number 5 in DVOA against the tight end position. I don't know how meaningful that is because Pitts is kind of a glorified wide receiver. But I mean, just watching him, I don't know. He's been productive and they've kind of found a way to use him in a more limited role. But I just wonder if he's losing steps to Jonnu. Number 1, if he's fully healthy, because watching him play, there's a lot of routes where like he'll have like a clear out deep route and won't be able to outrun like the other guy he's clearing it out for. Like if him and Drake London are like London's supposed to run the in and Pitt's like the slot clear. It's like London is sometimes outrunning him, which should never happen. And also, he's not like doing little things like getting rubs on like running back routes out of the backfield. He's like trying to get open instead of trying to get the pick. So like, I wonder if his like usage is going down just because of a mix of health and just not doing like the little things that Arthur Smith wants. So I think we could see a kind of a come back down to earth for Kyle Pitts too, even though he's probably been more consistent now than he's been in a while. I think it's gonna end this week.
Yeah, by the way, nice pick last week. You took Kyle Pitts on my prop minus a half PPR point to Jonnu Smith, and he beat him by 0.7 points. So congrats on that.
Yeah, man. It was one of those weeks for you with the props. You went 0-4 on the
pod. Oh God.
0-2 on mine and 0-2 on your book setting. So gotta bounce back this week. But I'll give you a chance to bounce back with Zach Ertz, who you're low on. So yeah, the yardage is in all. It's either he has a good game, a really good game, or a really bad game. So I'm gonna put his yardage prop at 27.5.
I already wrote it down, 23.5. Give me the under.
Yeah, his median is what, like 22 yards. So I think his average is 28, median's 22. So just trying to go somewhere in between there. It's really hard guy to project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think median wise, you're probably right. It's probably an under, but I just like, it's hard to say. Like, it seems like they'll like rest them one game and then next game it's like, all right, now
exactly.
unleash you again. So I don't know exactly how I'm gonna project them yet, but yeah, it's tough. Okay, that'll do it for us here. Week 7 NFL player projections episode of the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. For more great fantasy content from Sean and I, be sure to check out our full fantasy preview episode that's out right now over on the Fantasy Flex podcast channel. If you're into betting, my weekly betting preview episode every Thursday with Stuck is right here on the Action Network podcast channel. And also be sure to check out the favorites as well. ActionNetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy and betting content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. You can find Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this shmoney.